The first thing they noticed wasn't my resume or my grades or the way my hands shook when I tried to keep my voice steady. It was my jacket. Too thin. Too worn. Not the kind of thing you expect to see on someone sitting in a glass-walled office with a skyline view. The man across the desk glanced at it, then at me, and gave that polite half-smile people use when they've already made up their mind. You know the one. That's when I knew this wasn't really an interview, it was a judgment. But let me rewind, because none of this started in that office. It started years earlier in a 2-bedroom apartment above a laundromat where the walls shook every time the dryers hit full spin. I grew up being told gently but constantly to keep my expectations realistic. Not small, just realistic. People said it like it was advice, but it always felt more like a warning. I worked since I was 15. Stocking shelves, bussing tables, cleaning offices after hours. I learned early how invisible you can be when you're wearing a name tag and pushing a mop. People talk around you, over you sometimes, right through you. I told myself it was temporary. That if I kept my head down, kept grinding, one day I'd sit on the other side of those conversations. School was my exit plan. I didn't just want good grades, I needed perfect ones. Every A felt like proof. Proof that I wasn't what they assumed. Proof that effort mattered. Teachers liked me, but even then there was always that pause when I talked about big plans. The raised eyebrow, the careful, "That's ambitious." Yeah, that was the point. By senior year, I was juggling 2 jobs and a full course load. I slept in chunks. I ate whatever was cheap and fast. I wrote scholarship essays at 3 a.m, convincing myself that someone somewhere would read my words and actually see me. I wasn't asking for pity. I was asking for a fair shot. The big interview was scheduled on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were usually slow at the diner, which meant I could leave early without my manager giving me that look. I ironed my one decent shirt the night before, laid everything out like it was a ritual. Folder. Documents. Notes. I barely slept. That morning, everything felt weirdly quiet, like the world was holding its breath. I was walking toward the bus stop when I heard the crash. Not a screech, not a bang. A deep, hollow sound that you feel in your chest before you understand what it is. I turned and saw smoke pouring out of a car wrapped around a light pole. People stopped. Phones came out. No one moved closer. I checked my watch. I wish I could say I didn't. I did. I knew exactly what I was giving up. I also knew I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I walked away. So I ran. The heat was unreal. The kind that makes your eyes sting instantly. Inside the car, a guy about my age was pounding on the window, panicking, trapped. I didn't think. I just acted. I smashed the glass with my shoe, cut my hands pulling him free, dragged him back as the engine started to flame. When it was over, my shirt was ruined. My phone was dead, my hands were bleeding, and the sirens were finally getting close. I didn't wait around. I ran again. Toward the bus, toward the interview, toward something that was slipping through my fingers faster with every step. I arrived late. Not a little late. Late enough that the receptionist didn't even need to check the schedule. She looked at me, at the soot on my face, at my shaking hands, and her voice softened in that way that means no. The panel had already left. Policy was policy. No exceptions. I tried to explain. I really did. I wasn't dramatic about it. I just told the truth. Someone was trapped. I helped. I thought that would matter. It didn't. I left a voicemail. Then another. Then I got the email. Application withdrawn. No exceptions due to missed interviews. Clean, cold language. Efficient. Like erasing someone with a keystroke. For a while, I just sat there, staring at the screen. 4 years of effort reduced to a paragraph. I laughed, actually. A short, ugly laugh. Because what else do you do when the universe feels like it's messing with you on purpose? That night, I went back to work. People asked what happened. I said it didn't work out. It was easier than explaining how doing the right thing cost me everything I'd been working toward. A few days later, a guy showed up at my door. Clean clothes, nervous energy. He looked like he didn't belong in my neighborhood. Turns out he was the one from the car. He thanked me awkwardly, like gratitude was a language he didn't speak often. Then he told me he'd found out I lost my scholarship because of the rescue. He offered help, said his family had connections. I told him I didn't want favors. I wanted fairness. He nodded, like he understood, but I don't think he really did. Not yet. What neither of us realized then was that the scholarship I lost was funded by his father. Same last name, same foundation. That part came later, and when it did, it hit like another collision. When the truth came out, it came out loud. Documents leaked. Footage from the crash surfaced online. People saw me running toward flames while others stood back filming. They saw the rejection email. They saw the contrast. And suddenly, everyone had an opinion. The foundation tried to fix it quietly, offered money, not the scholarship, just enough to make the problem disappear. I said no, not because I was proud, but because I was tired of being treated like my silence had a price tag. Then came the meeting. Big office, big smiles, a contract on the table. Full ride, strings attached, media appearances, non-disclosure clauses. Basically, I'd get my future back as long as I agreed not to talk about how it was taken in the first place. I remember looking at the paper and thinking, so this is how it works. Not justice, optics. I didn't sign. That's when everything exploded. The documents were made public. Exceptions for donors' kids. Missed interviews forgiven. Rules bent quietly for the powerful while people like me were told to be on time or disappear. Standing there with cameras pointed at me, I finally said what I'd been swallowing for years. That this wasn't about gratitude, or charity, or second chances. It was about systems that claimed to reward merit while quietly protecting privilege. I walked out without a deal, without certainty, but for the first time with my head up. A week later, the founder came to see me. No cameras, no contracts, just an apology and a real offer. Not just for me, but changes to the whole program. Appeals, transparency, accountability. I took it, not because I suddenly trusted him, but because I wanted something better to come out of all this than just my own win. I did get my scholarship in the end. Not because I begged, not because I stayed quiet, but because the truth got loud enough that it couldn't be ignored anymore. People ask me if I regret it, missing the interview, losing everything before getting it back, and I think about that moment at the bus stop watching smoke rise into the sky. I think about how easy it would have been to keep walking. I don't regret it, not for a second, but I do wonder how many people never get the second chance I did. How many do the right thing and just lose? No cameras, no documents, no viral moment. Just silence. So, I want to know what you think. Was I right to walk away instead of taking the deal? Should rules ever bend for circumstance, or does that open the door to abuse? Have you ever been judged before you even opened your mouth, and if so, how did you handle it? Drop your thoughts below. I'm reading every comment. Let's talk about it.